What do we have next? Oh, the Battle of the Orange.
A lot of orange. An orange team is winning that day.
Also in
Orange
Atlanta.
out.
This one.
They
Also.
should, they should color rush these jerseys, but both wear the orange ones. Like it's light orange versus dark orange. Wouldn't be the most intriguing thing here. I think what everybody wants to know is how do the quarterbacks play? Two new quarterbacks coming in. Aguilar first up. So Cole, I'll go with you, and then we'll come to Tom on this. But do you just try to ask Aguilar not to do too much in this game where you're a big favorite?
Yeah, this is the way I would describe a Peyton Thorne game. And what do I mean by that? Well, Peyton Thorne didn't have a spring practice and then had to be thrown into a starting role for Auburn a few years ago, and that went south. That's what you get for Steve Angeli at Syracuse, and that's what you get for Joey Aguilar. They didn't have a spring. They came in the summer. They won the starting job, which is a good thing because it shows that they are the best fit for the team. But this is also where you're kind of going and asking your supporting cast to kind of have a big time moment. I think for Tennessee, people are kind of sleeping on Tennessee going into this year. I don't think that it is a team that is going to make a run to the college football playoff, but I also don't see them falling off the face of the earth and going 6-6. Like, they still have a great defense headlined by Tim Banks. They still have a solid offensive line that got better over time. And I really do like that this is going to be a year where we look back at circa 2022 Tennessee. And what do I mean by that? In 2022, Tennessee had multiple running backs that could easily be the number one. They had Jabari Small, they had Dylan Sampson, they had Jalen Wright, and they all split carries. Last season, it was the Dylan Sampson show, and if he did not get the engine rolling, then you didn't have a shot at winning a football game. So you're going to trust a Star Thomas, a Peyton Lewis, a Deshaun Bishop to be all three efficient enough to move the sticks in a timely manner and take pressure off of your quarterback. For Aguilar, just find yourself a number one wide receiver or find yourself a number one target that you can trust and build that continuity and familiarity with. I think that Miles Kitselman, Josh Heupel just reported today that he is going to be full go for this game, is massive. That could be a chain mover. You always find him on third down. He puts you in a position to where you get a fresh set of downs that you can open up the playbook. I think that you're going to have to see Mike Matthews, if he's fully healthy for this game, step on up and live up to the hype of what he was coming out of high school. They also have Travis Smith, who is a really good up-and-coming star, part of this last recruiting class. And Braylon Staley is back for another year, and the same thing goes for Chris Brazzell. Here's the thing that I really find interesting about wide receivers, specifically in a Josh Heupel offense. And you can look back at his time at UCF, but certainly at his time when he was at Tennessee. They never break out in year one. They always take a year to really hone in on what they're supposed to do before eventually hitting their stride. Look at what we saw from Jalen Hyatt. He was phenomenal, won the Biletnikoff Award, beat Alabama single-handedly. His first season was a dud in Knoxville. Look at what you saw with Brew McCoy. Brew McCoy was a really under-the-radar type of playmaker, and then year two, hit. You talk about Cedric Tillman, another guy who hit his stride at the right time after his first season on campus. So I do think that you will watch as Chris Brazzell or Braylon Staley or Mikey Matthews all step on up and be that difference maker. For Steve Angeli, can you force one or two explosive plays that allows you to get the ball into Jonte Cook's hands? Cook, at one point, viewed as the next big-time threat at the University of Texas, ends up not working out there, goes to Washington, doesn't work out there, gets a third chance with a coach that I think a lot of people are buying into as a long-term guy with Fran Brown. And Fran Brown demands a certain level of respect and a certain level of play for you to make the team. Jonte Cook did that. From a talent standpoint, he may be the most talented player that steps foot on the field Saturday morning in Atlanta. He might, just simply based off of his potential. But you got to be able to get those explosive plays downfield. Steve Angeli, I think, faces a little bit more pressure because of this is an offense that he is still kind of learning on the fly with. And I think more specifically, you don't have the weaponry that Tennessee is going to have. Can you just win a few plays at the line of scrimmage where Tennessee kind of craters out and says, we're going for an all-out blitz? It leaves somebody in a one-on-one coverage downfield to any one of their receivers. I mean, we could talk about certainly names that aren't Trevor Pena because he's no longer there. You have Darren Gill back for another season. There's a few others I know I'm blanking off the top of my head. You do have, again, Jonte Cook. So there's a lot to like. Maybe it's going to be in the tight end position. You know, we talk about that being a big-time threat last season with Grande. You have Tremble back for another year. So can you get those explosive plays that allow you to set up maybe a couple of drives that end up giving you positioning going into half to where momentum plays on it? Because the thing that I worry the most about, the thing that I can tell you is going to be the difference maker in this matchup overall, is, are we going to watch a Syracuse embodies the vision of Fran Brown? When a team takes on the identity of their coach, anything is possible, including an upset with a bunch of new pieces on this roster.
I love Fran Brown. I am completely in your camp with this one, Cole. I think this is fascinating in terms of the quarterback. Steve Angeli, let's not forget, is the dude who got passed over because they went and got Sam Hartman, got passed over again because they went and got Riley Leonard at Notre Dame. Let's not forget that Steve Angeli walked into the Orange Bowl last year, little bit of time left there in the second quarter, and started throwing the pill around on what was a pretty good Penn State defense. And there were Penn State fans, myself included, that were like, I hope Leonard comes back in the game, because Angeli changed the way that their offense looked. It was more of a pro-style offense. I'm curious to see what they do this year, because with McCord, it was the air raid attack. I think, to the points that Cole just made, he has the weapons to do that. I worry about the offensive line because it looks like probably 4 out of 5 are transfers. So I don't know how much time he's going to have. And I love what Tennessee consistently puts along the defensive line. So I fear for Syracuse in this game. I won't rule out the possibility of an upset if Aguilar completely blanks the bed in this situation. Again, this game's a neutral site. It's in Atlanta. There should be a lot more Tennessee orange than Syracuse orange. So this is an easier environment for Aguilar. And also the specter of Nico for Heupel, for Aguilar going into this game. Is that even something remotely that Aguilar is thinking about, that he has to go above and beyond to prove to the Vol Nation that he is the guy going forward? So for me, I still like Tennessee to win this thing. The spread is 13.5, which is pretty strong. I think they can still clear that. I wouldn't say it's going to be by a ton over that margin, but give me Tennessee 31-20.
My buddy Nate has been helping us out doing some of the production. He's a big Syracuse fan. He says the Orangemen are going to show the SEC how some old school Big East ball is played. And peanut butter and jelly is going for at least 400 yards. I don't share those sentiments, though I would like to see it. Just, Nate, appreciate all that you do, and happy to give you a little shout out here. 30-21. I'll go Tennessee on this. Syracuse keeps it somewhat close.
Covers.
But I have a lot of trust in Heupel to not ask. Kind of Tom's big concern there. I have a lot of trust that they don't ask him to do too much, and I think they'll really lean on that ground game. And I just think the better athletes will end up taking over. So sorry to the slightly darker orange. Cole, score on this one.
This isn't a homerism pick. This isn't an SEC pick. This bottom line comes down to, what do I trust more? And the thing I trust the most is that I believe Tennessee's run game is still going to be one of the best in college football. They have 3 guys that can beat you. And so what is that going to do? It's going to eventually force Fran Brown to have to play in the box. He's going to have to try to slow down the run game. And there gets Joey Aguilar, who does have a great arm to let it fly downfield to one of his receivers. That's an easy 6 points. I actually think this is a close game going into the fourth quarter. I could see this being 20-20, but then you get the Joey Aguilar play. Then you get the connection. Lo and behold, I believe the Tennessee is winning this football game. I got 35-20.